Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. And today, we have another chair project, which is a little different than anything we've ever done in the lab before. These chairs were made in the 1950s. They're all steel, welded construction. When they were new, there was a flat panel in the seat with cushions upholstered onto it. And for the back, they had a panel like this, which went against the back rails like this. And this is the only one surviving from the original set. And so what we have to do today is make a curved piece of wood that'll fit 6 chairs like the two right here in front of me. Now it's nice to have an original piece which we can use as a pattern, because the problem of making a curved piece is that you need to know the actual radius of the circle that this came from if you're going to cut a new one. And the smaller chair has a tighter radius than the bigger chair. So whereas I can get the circle off of this piece, I have to find the circle off of this chair. There's a variety of ways to bend wood to your will. The most obvious one is if the wood is thin enough, it may bend without too much effort. You can nail it down, glue it down, clamp it down, let it sit like that, and it'll probably stay that way. There are some wood species, hardwoods such as oak, ash, and that kind of thing, that if they're heated hot enough, they become very pliable. You can clamp them into place, and when they cool off, they'll hold their shape for the most part. This is usually done with steam, because steam is wet. Any other source of heat that would get the wood hot enough to bend would probably set it on fire at the same time, which is never really good. Probably one of the easiest ways to have a piece of curved wood is to saw it out of a board the shape you need. Not always practical, and certainly not in our project today, but I have seen furniture from the 18th century, 1700s, where curved panels on the fronts of dressers and desks and stuff like that were cut, sawn from a single block of wood that big. And somebody sat there with a saw and just probably spent an hour or more cutting out that curve and then smoothing it down, carving it and all that. Awful lot of wood being wasted for such a small end piece. Now, our project is going to be made with plywood. And this is a single sheet of plywood that was formed at the factory like this. And I've got to duplicate that with the resources we have here in the lab. Now, before you can duplicate a curve, you've got to know what the curve is, which is to say the diameter or the radius of the circle that it would be if it was a full circle. Now, I've got my workbench set up here with a piece of poster board, and I'm going to be able to trace this directly from the chair. I added this leg because I'm working by myself today. This would be a good time to have a helper. When I trace a line on the chair back that I'll be able to see, then I can go back and darken it with a Sharpie so everybody else can see it too. Now I'm having flashbacks of 9th grade geometry class. I'm at the BF bench, my curve already traced. I've got framing square, a Sharpie, a pair of dividers, also with a Sharpie, and I've added a piece of paper to the end here to give me a little more drawing off the poster board. First thing I do is draw a line one end of my arc to the other. Take my dividers. And if memory serves, this is a perpendicular bisector of this line, which I think is called a chord, but it'll go through the point on this arc that I want to catch. Now repeat this process twice more from here and here, here, and here. And the point where all three of these lines meet up is the center of this circle. Now that I know the center of my circle, I have to duplicate that curve on this piece of wood and a few more just like it. And it turns out the radius of this circle is roughly 28 inches. The setup is fairly simple. Got a piece of 3/4 inch plywood on the bandsaw to extend the table. Got my protest sign here with a hole drilled in the end down here at the 28 inch mark. And that's held in place with an 8-penny nail. And it will swing this piece of wood through the saw. Now we come to the real magic. This is the only sheet of plywood that you can buy which costs less than $13 American. It is known variously as 1/8 of an inch, a little under 3 millimeters, 1/10 of an inch is probably what it's intended to be, but it's sold under the generic name of door skin. It's very flexible. In fact, it's so flexible, it's plywood, it can be bent. I've got 3 pieces stacked up here to be cut by the radial arm saw. If I had one of those really nice compound sliding miter saws, I'd be using that. But I don't have one, so this is the way it works. I don't really like glue-ups. They make a mess. It's a big pain in the ass no matter how you do it. And even though I have spent a good bit of the afternoon preparing for this, I know some kind of surprise is going to come up. So, I line the frame with wax paper because I don't want to glue my frame together or glue my seat bottoms to it. The glue I'm using here is Titebond 2. I hope that's sufficient to keep a bunch of seat backs together. I've always always thought that the big deal with glue is how well it's applied, not especially which glue you use. But I am applying it to both sides. Get a nice even coat. This. Now we start the clamping. This would be easier if I had a third hand or another pair of hands. But in any case, there's always tricks for getting this kind of stuff done. A nice piece of rope is almost as good as another hand. Now, as easy as this stuff bends, I could probably get away with just this one clamp on top here. But I'm going to go ahead, put the other two on, clamp it up, let it sit till in the morning. And I have two sets of frames because I've got two different size chairs. But I'm going to have to see if I've got enough clamps to be able to run two of these things at one time. It'll be close, so. Well, I'm happy with this one, and I've only got 5 more to make. So this is Bronze Age from the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. Thank you for watching this video about bending plywood, and we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. Tell all your friends, and we'll see you again soon in another video.